Looking up Call of Duty tips anymore just boils down to somebody who claims they used to be a pro player telling you that you need to use this response curve or this sensitivity or this sprint assist option or this FOV or turn off this or turn on that. It's just settings. And settings, unfortunately, do not make you a better player. If you were to ask me, what do players not understand about Call of Duty? I would talk about the high and wide rule. I would talk about that a lot of people don't understand unwinnable situations, and they also don't look ahead of their reticle. So in this video, we're going to be talking about those things. It's going to be a little bit of a big video, but I hope you sit all the way through it because I think by the end of it, you'll be walking away with some important information that you can carry into the rest of your FPS career, whether with Call of Duty or anything else. To varying levels of success and to varying levels of severity, I have dabbled in almost every major shooter to a large degree. And yet, I've never seen somebody else share these tips, so I'm sharing them now. So we'll get into the high and wide rule, and we'll get into settings you can use to train your eyes to look where you're supposed to. We can get into that soon, but first I'm going to talk about unmanageable scenarios. So when you're playing a first-person shooter, when you're playing Call of Duty, you're working in a 3D space with variables. Corners, doorways, windows, height advantage, low advantage, long line of sight, small rooms, stairs, elevators, of course, head glitches. Call of Duty is a nightmare of variables in the same way that any game that puts you in a 3D interactable space with an opponent is going to be a nightmare. And if your goal is to improve yourself, or at least to play well every session, you're likely missing out on some key information. Yes, wanting to improve will actually blind you to important information about understanding the game. What do I mean by this? Well, when I review old gameplay, I'm constantly noticing moments where I know that in the moment, emotionally, I felt like I had a chance to succeed. But upon watching it back, especially, I'm sort of shaking off rust. I haven't been playing Call of Duty normally for about 3 years. Going back, I can see that retroactively, the death was decided seconds before it actually happened. Some scenarios you're going to be in as a player are non-starters. And what does that mean exactly? Sometimes the flaw in the situation, this is true for life, is starting in the first place. Sucks, doesn't it? Yeah, I know. It's one of the worst things about reality itself. And that's why the skill of being able to disengage is so important. From whatever it might be, because sometimes the situation you're in isn't bad because of something you're doing in it. You weren't supposed to be in it in the first place. You're set up to fail in the first place. And sometimes some luck and some hard work will get you out of it. And props to you. But when we're playing Call of Duty, we gotta look at the fact that some scenarios we're in are just not winnable. So my last video was about the sliding problem in the game where people are just sliding right past you in close range engagements and they're suddenly off your screen. With very little input, they are off your screen at a high velocity, and it makes gunfights very frustrating. One of the comments I got on this video said, the problem with tiers of slides is you slide in, kill one guy, get jumped by a second one, then what? Normally you would slide away, but now your character just does a little flop due to no momentum, and now you're dead. Well, first of all, in the video, I didn't say that if you don't have momentum, you flop. I just meant that your slide would be a lot less fast if you go from not moving at all to initiating a slide. But this comment, I'm not really calling this person out directly, but this comment is so fascinating to me because it's indicative of what so much of the community sounds like. What if I slide into an engagement, kill one person, and then a second guy jumps out? Well, in a first-person shooter with like a 200 millisecond time to kill, you're gonna die. You're done, brother. Like, if you're actually getting jumped from off-screen, you didn't know that second person was there, and you slide in focusing on one person, you don't get to win that second gunfight. Moving around like a crazy person, sliding around the map like it's made of glass to avoid the situations being unwinnable, well, first of all, they won't be. Someone will counter you because some of your situations are still going to be unwinnable, but you shouldn't be relying on sliding or diving to get you out of shit situations. That's ridiculous. The question that you're not willing to ask yourself, Blue Mania, and this is where I'm targeting you, in this hypothetical, should you have slid in to kill one guy in the first place? Why did you need to slide in to kill him? And in the scenario when you're getting jumped by somebody else, Why do you think you're entitled to win that scenario? Just because you're able to slide? Do you think that makes for fun gameplay? This idiot just slid in without noticing I'm here, killed my teammate, and is now going to slide away at lightning speed because, well, movement god, am I right? No. You shouldn't have been in that scenario to begin with. Slides won't save you from bad decision making. So this is what I mean. When your goal is to improve yourself and you want to do well and you lose a gunfight, you'll train yourself to be like, oh, I could have done better. I should have aimed better. They started shooting me and I should have moved my left stick a little bit more. I should have WASD'd in a circle and then I should have been more accurate. My gun skill's so bad. Bro, if somebody's already aiming at you and shooting you in Call of Duty, you're likely fucking dead. The decision has to be made before you enter that scenario. It's actually almost creepy. The amount of years I've played Call of Duty, and sometimes when I'm watching footage back for these videos, I'm like, oh wow, I died well before I even saw an enemy because I went into a situation without reading it properly. I didn't use the kill feed, the minimap, my audio properly, and I am about to die, and it's going to feel like I did something wrong in the gunfight when what I did wrong was enter that scenario in the first place. But what can we do to limit the amount of times we are in a no-win scenario? Well, we're gonna use the high and wide rule. Take it away, Live Boom. All right, hi, we're live. This is gonna showcase exactly what I'm talking about, so you have another frame of reference for the nonsense I'm babbling. So we're gonna move forward here, and we're gonna go up to these staircases. And why do I say high and wide? Well, high is our height advantages, our power positions. Right here, it's that window, and it's that window. And the reason we do high first is because we want to be prepared when coming around here about the power positions in front of us. Wide can come second because if there's somebody wide, if somebody's wide right here, you have just about equal, 50-50. They're coming around this corner, they see you, and if they're not head glitching, obviously, if they're out in the open, wide is gonna come naturally. Come up here, power positions, but if you see somebody wide, you guys are both out in the open, you guys are both gonna have to shoot and maneuver, and that's where gun skill is gonna come in. But you want to prioritize that height advantage first. Now, the reason this map is perfect for this showcase is that Call of Duty and a lot of shooters, most shooters, all FPS games, they're random, they're unfair. And when you come over here, you don't just have high and wide. You also have this, which is, it's in a sense, a nice little power position. Somebody could be, you know, doing little maneuvers around and watching for you. You have this, they could be laying down here waiting for you. And then, of course, you have this staircase, which they could also be head glitching waiting for you as well. So you might think then, okay, well then wide should come first because that's a head glitch, therefore power position. Yes and no. You can look at these power positions here before you really showcase yourself to here. But it's worth noting that once you enter this area, it's not just flat. It's not just wide open space. There's cover. There's cover here. There's cover here. There's cover here. There's cover back here when you come around more. There's a lot to worry about, and if you are hyper focused on what's in front of you, you're not going to notice certain things. So just like I'm mentioning in the video here, and I will be talking about further, we got to change some settings. So like I said, motion blur, everyone says turn it all off. And that's fair, because if you have world motion blur on and you're moving around, world motion blur, actually it's, you know, not too bad in this game, but it's still noticeably kind of weird. You don't want to be panning your camera over and missing something, you know, you want it to be as clear as possible when you're looking around in your circles, especially on 60 FPS. On 120, I've noticed world motion blur isn't as notably like smeary and blurry, but what are you gonna do? Turn off world motion blur because yeah, you don't want to risk blurring your opponent. But weapon motion blur, I think you should always have on. And the reason being is that we want to see as little of this thing as possible. We have weapon motion blur because this doesn't affect our landscape at all, but it makes our gun blurry in motion. And this reminds us to not look at it. It puts it out of detail. So when I'm running around here, I'm not thinking about the M4 in my hands, I am thinking about what's in front of this blue dot. And that's essential. Another thing you can do, you can go a step further. I would recommend lowering your field of view. Lower it a little bit. And I recommend also putting your weapon field of view on narrow. This brings your gun in closer. It says that makes your gun look bigger, but actually it just brings the gun in closer on your screen so it's not more outwards. So we can see right here that my gun barrel is not touching the top of that railing visually here due to perspective. But if we go to wide, now my gun is taking up that much more space. And without moving my stick forward at all, my barrel is now touching that railing because that's just how that goes. So we're gonna go narrow, so the gun takes up less space on the screen. We're gonna lower our FOV so we have a higher chance of seeing people out in the distance. When I come around here, I want to have that closer FOV. So if somebody's head glitching way back there or someone's just prone right by that box, I wanna be able to see that. And that is going to be considerably more difficult if they're really tiny. And 120 FOV is definitely gonna fuck that up for you. Misspeaking aside, also, I would recommend if you are going to run a higher FOV, if you're going to do 110, 115, anything really over 100, run independent when it comes to your aim down sight. Aim down sight FOV being at affected, it sounds nice, right? You get a wider field of view and less visual recoil when you aim down sight, but then you can't see at a distance. And a big part of Call of Duty is rounding a corner and then bam, there's a head glitch. Now I can aim at that head glitch right here. It's fine, and it looks good. I would see anybody there. But if let's just say we did affected. Now when I aim down sight, that's not a big piece of cover anymore. It's way easier for somebody's head to hide in there, especially during fast motion and during fast movement. Somebody's head could be hiding right anywhere in the scene, in that doorway, in this window, behind this box, down here in the corner. And I just personally, I've tried to play affected for a while. It is nice, like you feel like your field of view is wider when you're aimed down sight, so your visual recoil feels lessened, and that is nice, but it doesn't actually affect your recoil. Recoil control is gonna have to come from your thumb and understanding how the weapon works. What you wanna be able to do is come around a corner, you go high, then wide, and you keep moving forward. And you keep that gun in your peripheral vision. You keep that gun blurred, out of detail. We don't want to look at the gun. We are looking at this blue dot and ahead at all times. If you had an eye tracker, your eyes would be darting mini-map around here at the gun. When you're reloading, like kind of look at that reload animation. No, we want to look out ahead. You want to train yourself. You're always looking out ahead. I'm looking beyond these sandbags right here. I'm looking past that toolbox. I'm looking over that short wall. I'm looking past this window into the staircase here. I don't need to look at this wall. I don't need to look at it. This wall's pointless at the moment. I want to look through the window up at the staircase. And that's the thing. You want to come around here? This is all wide. This is easy. This is all easy. This is going to be obvious when you come around. But then there's high. So you don't go wide then high. You come around here. It's high and then wide. High and then wide. Does that make sense? High and then wide. Always check high, then wide. This game will let you snap out of your sprint and check, and then it'll maintain sprint. If you have the right setting equipped, definitely always have maintain sprint on, because you can run through here, aim, keep going. Run through here, aim, keep going. Aim, keep going. And you can sprint backwards, so you can aim and then keep going. And then it's flawless. You can, nope, and you don't want to look there. Nope, you don't want to look there. So when you come around this corner, you look down here. You're not looking at the staircase, you're not looking at the floor, you're looking past the staircase at this bookshelf. If an enemy silhouette crosses right here, you take them out. So you move, you come down here, and oh, where am I looking? That wasn't good at all. Where am I looking? Now I come down here, and I got the door there, and the window there. So I come down, and the big thing to do is I could crouch, look through the window, get an eye on the staircase, and then immediately here. If nothing's here, and of course, use the minimap, use your ears. If there's gunfire out here, if they're spawning out here, you're gonna have to react differently. But in this scenario, nothing's here, check here. Nothing here, but oh, right there. So I come around this corner, and my eyes will already see an enemy standing there. What I need to be looking towards, it's here. I need to be looking towards when I come through this kitchen is this window here. So right here, high, wide. Always high, then wide, because you're gonna miss it. You're going to miss it. Coming down here and not looking in that window is a devastating mistake. It is a devastating mistake. Other than that, I can't think of any other tips to give you. So you've learned about high and wide, you've learned about unwinnable situations, we've learned about looking out ahead of our reticle, not staring at our gun or our heads-up display, looking out ahead and plotting out your course so that you can make better decisions. You're going to be more ready for gunfights, it's going to improve your aim. This is a net benefit to you. So why don't other YouTubers talk about this? Do they not know? Are they naturally gifted and are taking it for granted? Do they not want others to know about this? I don't know, but I'm happy to break the seal on it, and I hope it helps you in the same way that it's helped me. If you do know anyone that has talked about this on YouTube before me just now, let me know so I can subscribe to their channel as soon as possible. But that is going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you learned something. I hope you got something out of this. I hope that you can go into your next play session a little bit more prepared and a little bit more likely to have fun, because that's the goal here on the channel, is to have fun in our favorite series. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.